going all-star.
We're in the endgame now as Westworld Season 3 is coming to a close, so let's talk about all of the Easter eggs, references, and tasty theories in Episode 7. The title of this episode is Passed Pawn. Now this is a term in chess that refers to a pawn with an open board ahead of it. Much like Caleb and early Dolores, pawns are the weakest pieces in the game, but they have the potential to change who they are. I'll let D'Angelo explain it.
Now for pawn, made all the way down to the other dude's side, you get to be queen. Like I said, the queen ain't no bitch.
These cryogenic freezers are symbolically made to look like coffins, and these coffins form a pattern that looks a bit like a chessboard, as Caleb advances to the enemy's side of the board. So, just like Dolores evolved to become a leader, she's trying to help Caleb evolve to become a leader. Unless, of course, she's not, and all of this is just her manipulating him like Bernard thinks.
She won't destroy humanity. He will.
Do you think she has humans' best interest at heart? Let me know in the comments below. Clementine returns wearing a dress that's the same shade of blue as her outfit in the Mariposa. I love the Transformer briefcase gun in this fight, and it's not just a cool piece of tech. It also shows that Dolores is capable of changing and shifting forms. To that end, the YouTube channel Think Story pointed out that multi-armed Hindu gods, like this one, can handle many tasks at once, and there's a parallel here with Dolores splitting her consciousness. The music playing here is called Orpheus and Eurydice's Dance of the Blessed Spirits. It's inspired by the Greek myth of Orpheus who, spoiler alert, traveled into hell to rescue his love Eurydice, but tragically lost her when he turned around just a little too soon. There are lots of parallels here with Westworld. Akecheta travels into the land of the dead to find his wife. Dolores emerges from the hell of Westworld but loses Teddy in the process. Similarly, William escaped the park but lost his daughter. Charlotte has turned on Dolores because he thinks that she ordered the hit on her family, but it was probably Sirach, right? I mean, there's got to be some kind of surprise reveal in the finale. What do you guys think? We see two sets of Caleb flashbacks in this episode, the manufactured visions and his real memories. Now notice the subtle changes between the two, like the language of the graffiti. His awakening is framed by his doctor asking him questions.
Tell me how you got here.
You was attacked.
Now this is yet another similarity between him and Dolores, whose interview was the first seen on the show.
Do you know where you are?
I'm in a dream.
Caleb fought in the Russian Civil War, which was previously hinted at in this Westworld teaser. He believes that his unit was killed by insurgents, but again, it was probably Sirach, right? After all, he sends outliers into dangerous situations like war to move them off the game board.
Rehoboam sends this group to high-risk sectors like war, the wood chipper to eat them up and spit them out.
Caleb becomes an outlier hunter by using the crime app Rico. Now it makes sense that even crime would be just another system of control. This is similar to the Matrix, where the machines allowed for the creation of a random element, the One, so they could better exert control over humankind. His mask is covered with eyes, symbolizing the many eyes of Rehoboam, who he unknowingly serves. His final confrontation with Francis, where he doesn't know who to trust, plays out almost exactly like William's murder of his daughter, when he wasn't sure if she was a host. Now that's not the only similarity between these characters. For some reason, as Insider pointed out, they have the same identification number. This could be a forgery on Dolores' part, or there could be some other connection. If you have a theory, let me know in the comments. Dolores shows Caleb the area of Mexico that inspired the park, calling it,
It's perfect. Like home.
Now I thought it was touching and a little sad that she still thinks of the park as home. Like if she could, she would want to settle there and rebuild her race. This scene repeats a lot of beats from previous episodes, like her optimism in Season 1.
I lived in hell. There's beauty in it. Some people choose to see the ugliness in this world. I choose to see the beauty.
But this also mirrors her conversation with Teddy in Season 2, right down to the score being identical.
We've ridden 10 miles and all we've seen is blood, Dolores. Is this really what you want?
So how many more people are gonna have to die for this revolution?
Dolores' goal is to meet Solomon, predecessor to Rehoboam. All of these AI were named after the succession of Israeli kings, because they've become sort of the voice of God. The robots walking around are the same models that Maeve attempted to escape with back in Episode 2. But also, there's a similarity here to the drones in the park who ignored Bernard and Stubbs when they entered the lower levels. Solomon says,
"If this is indeed now, and we are indeed here."
And there's a couple of reasons for this. First, this AI was designed by Sirach's brother, Jean-Mi, who was schizophrenic, so we can assume that this AI would carry on some of those traits. But there's another reason for his confusion. Remember how Dolores' memory hopped around in Season 1? Hosts remember events with perfect clarity, and since she was new to remembering, she became confused about where and when she was.
When are we? It's like I'm trapped in a dream or a memory from a life long ago.
Solomon is going through the same displacement. Dolores sees that he's hooked up to an EMP and says,
And your creator took the steps to ensure you can't leave this place. I know that feeling.
Then she touches her neck, where the park implanted explosives to prevent the host from leaving. They discover the cold storage where the Outliers are kept, which, as Dolores points out, is like the cold storage in the park. Both places are dark and feel like tombs. This one is covered in coffins, and in the park, the hosts are standing like the Chinese terracotta army. Just like those hosts were eventually resurrected and used as an army, perhaps Solomon will let these Outliers out of their cages as well. All of the Outliers have a designation number that begins with U. When Sirach talks about his brother, he calls him Sui Generis, which is French for unique. So I'm guessing that the U here stands for unique. Jean-Mi, Sirach's brother, is kept in a special coffin contained in rings, like the rings that create hosts. There's also a honeycomb pattern here, perhaps indicating that this is all part of the hive that works to serve the good of the collective. For instance, this person in Deep Freeze is someone that we're all familiar with. That's your mom. So now let's talk about the showdown between Maeve and Dolores. It's one of the best fights in the series. This kitchen sequence was a nod to Jurassic Park, another property created by Michael Crichton. Now, it turns out that Evan Rachel Wood has a black belt, and she claimed that they only used stunt workers for about 10% of this fight.
And the stunt performers come in for running up the side of a wall or wire work, things like that.
Maeve says,
You've turned a young man before, haven't you?
Unleashed the darkness inside him.
and Dolores has actually turned two young men into violent people, Teddy and William. This fight ends when Dolores is disarmed. The William, Stubbs, and Bernard storyline is mostly set up with a few info dumps. I like the visuals of these psych profiles, or maybe their blood samples, on tiny, coffin-like tablets to mirror the deep freeze of the Outliers. There's also this billboard advertising cloned meat that goes from lab to slab, like the facility where Bernard was working in episode 1. This is also here to remind us that in this world, life is cheap and manufactured. William says that creating hosts was
only one original sin,
which is another biblical reference. Original sin refers to when Adam and Eve ate fruit from the tree of knowledge and gained awareness of the world outside the Garden of Eden. In many ways, this is exactly what happened to Dolores and the other freed hosts. They become self-aware, they realize they are naked, and they want to leave the garden their God has provided for them. But William is wrong. His original sin was anger when he realized he fell in love with the machine. Had he been more empathetic and less proud, he could have seen that Dolores had potential to become sentient. So what do you think is going to happen in the finale? Remember, there's one more Dolores host in Berlin who's probably Teddy, right? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.